Hello everybody and welcome to another Skills4All webinar. So today we are following our pattern with Skills4All webinars, and after 3 different webinars what we had, we are today talking about the game officials. We are talking about their development and their recruitment. Because as we all know, without game officials we cannot have any games, and without having games, that's the most important, that's the most fun about hockey. So today I'm really happy to present our main topic that will be taught, and then after that we'll talk about the IIHF initiative that is related to it. After that, for all our YouTube listeners, we will stop the platform and we will just continue on the Zoom link without recording, and we will have a discussion amongst ourselves and with the speakers of today's webinar that you can ask them questions, and hopefully we will have answer for it. So I'm really happy to present our first speaker today, coming from the Royal Belgium Ice Hockey Federation, the Vice President and the National Development Director, Marc Verlinden, who will be talking today on how they started their program with the referees, with their recruitment and development of the referees, of the officials. He will talk about the development roadmap what they built, and main thing is that how they improve the numbers of officials in their country. And this is a really great example of a small federation having a great project, great program, and supporting their own local people and supporting development of ice hockey in Belgium. So without further ado, I'm really happy to present the recording that we had with Mark, and later on we will have a discussion with him as well, and enjoy the recording.
Thank you for the opportunity to showcase our Belgium Officiating Development Program during this Skills4All webinar. Let me start by first introducing myself for those that don't know me yet. My name is Marc Verlinden. I am 55 years young and became involved in ice hockey about 44 years ago. Started off as a goalie, turned into an official roughly at the age of 19. Today, I'm Development Director of the Royal Belgium Ice Hockey Federation in a voluntary and unpaid position, pretty much like all the other positions within our national federation. During my years as on-ice official, I participating in several IIHF tournaments and officiated many national championship finals in Belgium. In total, I was roughly 13 years in my role as referee-in-chief before I became development director, which is my current position. At the time I was asked to become our national referee-in-chief, we had almost no officials left, to be complete 13 left, in our national referee group. Over 2 separate terms, we managed to turn these numbers around, and we are in a much healthier situation right now. In this presentation, I would like to give you a brief overview of the path that we walked to make the so much needed changes. I will also mention what made for us the biggest impact to turn things around in a very small country like Belgium with many unique changes. Let me first introduce you the place I work, Belgium. Belgium is a central located country in Europe, surrounded by much bigger ice hockey nations. Ice rinks in Belgium are for 90% privately owned, and ice time is by default pricey and challenging to get. We have to split the available ice time between all the other sports like figure skating, short track. So it is hard to get the ice time that we would really want to have. With only 12 rinks in total, ice hockey is a small sport that competes with big sports like soccer, cycling, basketball, and so on in our country. At the moment, we have roughly 2,500 players registered over all ages and all clubs. Our top league, the Benelux League, is a joint competition with the Netherlands and some German teams. Today, happy to say that our officiating group counts 130 registered officials. 90 of them are situated in the level 2 and 1, and the 40 remaining ones are in the level 3, 4, and 5. Challenges, we have lots of challenges, just like many colleagues, we have to deal and overcome lots of things in last minute and things that are in a small country just very difficult to overcome. We have no national nor local financial support and are 100% depending on our own funds. We have no financial contracts with partners or vendors. All our courses and activities must be self-funded. To make matters worse, for a small country like we are, we also have to deal with 3 different national languages. Reason enough for many to say that it is an impossible job. However, with determination, dedication, and especially a great team, a lot of things are possible. You just have to make it happen. At the start, we obviously made a number of beginner's mistakes. We also paid our price for that. But once the word was out, things picked up fast from there. What made the difference and what worked for us? At the beginning, for sure, CRM. CRM stands for Club Referee Manager. We made this mandatory for all clubs from the federation point out. And this is a dedicated person that supports young officials in every club. So every club has one, and he looks after the young officials within the club. This person takes care of local recruitment. He plans the training, doesn't provide him, but plans the training, and is the buffer between the coaches and parents during youth games. He will not be at all youth games, but for a large percentage he will be there. And if there would be issues with parents, spectators, or coaches, he will intervene just to allow the young and new officials to feel better and supported. We looked for local support groups for officials, seeking people that we can trust and are willing to help in reaching our goal. Initially, these people do not have to have excellent background as an official. What we needed was just support. A clear national system was also quite important. Makes it simple to show people what the options are, where they are located at the time, and get them excited to move up and provide career paths based on a clear and understandable system. Officials are individuals that work on an individual career. We have to take an individual approach to talk to them. We found that really helped big time. Let the officials feel that you are interested in getting them better. Network with neighboring countries was also a critical and a very important part. We managed to get quite easy exchange programs going for officials at every level. Not only the top level, but also the lower levels, which made it for most of the officials an interesting part to stay, because they knew in every level they would have opportunities for them to come. Don't forget that often the referee-in-chiefs on neighboring countries, they will have the exact similar challenge. They also are looking for exchanges or ways to keep their referees or young referees excited, and just by organizing exchange programs for tournaments and so on would definitely be already a big bonus for these young officials, because they are getting some additional exposure. And promote your top officials during these exchange programs. Promoting, what I mean with that is show your best officials, talk about that, and actually we managed to get multiple of our officials included into international competitions. We have people for a small country like Belgium that work in Germany, that work in Denmark. We have the joint league Belgium-Holland, and so on. So there is definitely, in the past we also had exchanges with France. So it is possible. It's just a matter of talking to the people when you have the opportunity at congresses or at referee-in-chief meetings throughout the IIHF officiating groups. Starting off, our referee group is in most cases an unknown partner in the game. We are the third team on the ice. Everybody knows the home and the visiting team, but they do not know referees or officials. What we did is we showed the inside outside. We actually showed them that who are we? What can we do? We show them that we can have fun, and actually we have lots of fun, and that there are many opportunities for individual growth within referees, something that a lot of players are not really known about. We use social media. We created small clips. Doesn't have to be anything special, just with your phone these days, very good cameras. And we actually posted that online, bringing the people closer to our group of referees, and actually showing that it is fun to be a referee, and that there is obviously some cool things happening there as well. And we convinced clubs that we have solutions available for them. This to turn third line and fourth line players into successful officials. In many cases, kids quit the sport at the age of university, as the combination is often hard. Officiating, however, is providing often options to these youngsters to stay active in the sport, as they have, as officials, much more control over their availability and over the dates and times they can work games. Officiating can go hand in hand with higher studies, and we have seen that often these officials will remain in our sport after graduation. Our official model was important at the start to display how things works and how you can move up in the organization. Here I display our structure in Belgium. We have 5 different levels, level 1, 2, up until 5, where you see that level 5 has an IIHF logo, which are only my IIHF official certified officials. 1, 2, 3, and 4 are actually our Belgian levels that we use throughout our Belgium system. You also see on the top that we move from local to federation. We always start off locally, meaning within a club, within an organization, a local referee, and slowly but sure our referees move to a federation level, where you can see in level 1 we kind of focus on cross-ice games, where we have U8, U10 and U12. This is a step-in level, is an easy level to get. And this is where we kind of try to hook our officials and try to see who has the talent, who has the options maybe to move forwards afterwards. In level 2, we have a little bit the combination of still being a referee, but then in the U14, 16, Division 3 and 4 games, where in the level 2 we have a B part, and the B part is becoming a lines person. This one is colored a little bit local, little bit federation. Why? Because the lines person will come out of the local referees, and the referees himself in a 3-man system, they're actually coming out of the federation part. Basically, this is where we make the line, the change. Once people are ready to actually move to our group, to the national group, then they will join us and they will become a level 3. And afterwards, they will become a level 4. Important to know is that level 1 and level 2, as well as level 3, are entry levels. So, for example, if you have an ex-player that wants to become a referee, he does not have to start in level 1 and take care of cross-ice games. He can immediately go to level 3. He will most probably enter our Referee for Tomorrow program, where he is highly coached by mentor coaches, and he is highly followed up by coaches, referee coaches, in the first couple of months or year that he joins us, because he can actually make quick a step from where he was directly into our higher leagues. For level 1 and level 2 is quite similar. If we have a referee that's not interested, or someone that's not interested in cross-ice games, he can immediately step into level 2. But most of our referees, or most of our new guys, are actually coming into the level 1 and work their way through up until level 4, and hopefully eventually also into level 5. This display was for us very important because it gave us the opportunity to identify where every referee was and what for him or her the options were towards the future. That way you can do individual coaching, and you can also, I was also able to provide them a way forward, a plan on how we get to certain parts. Remember, we try to provide opportunities for every level. So tournaments in level 1 and level 2, when we have youth teams going out, these guys sometimes can go with those teams, just to give them also a little bit extra. 3, 4 and 5, 5 not so much because that's IIHF level, but 3 and 4 will actually be part of our exchange programs in between the neighboring countries, or sometimes in countries like Denmark and Germany that we had as well. You're not Superman. You really want to make a difference, and I really quickly saw I am not Superman. Succeeded into getting the right people around me, the people that trust me, the people that actually believed in the program that I wanted to bring. That trust and that support of those people was actually maybe even my biggest positive push that I got in order to move forwards. Initially, I looked for the ones that trusted me and believed in me, in what I was doing, because the idea was many shoulders can take heavier load. Later down the road, people spontaneously started to offer their support and increase the level of training, coaching that we could provide. I located people that can help to coach young referees, especially at the beginner's level. Once again, at the beginner's level, sometimes the moral support, the fact that you are there, that they have a shoulder to talk to and to help them out, is sometimes more important than all the other advice that you can give them at the start. Afterwards, we found also instructors that can carry out our national development plan, because at a certain point we did create a very nice development plan as we had the structure in place and all the people were actually there. And then we needed instructors in order to carry that out. Some people that could assist young officials during their first games. People that were able to go on the ice with them, people that were able to coach from the side. We also introduced our referees with the on-ice walkie-talkies so that we were actually able to talk to them while they were on the ice, coach them actually during the game. These were not all top referees that helped us out, but sometimes just people with limited to no experience, but they were just happy to help, step in, and be in between the parents and the coaches sometimes where needed and available almost week after week. I focused to create a first new base. I did not want to start immediately on our top officials. I really made my decision to start from the base and build everything up from there. A proper foundation needed to be built in order to base our officiating program on. We then started to organize our first courses. We did those initially live, but during Corona that quickly was moved to online sessions. And today our courses are both online and live. Some lessons are online, some lessons are still online. That way we actually make good use of the new technology, and what it does especially is it lowers the step in for a lot of new officials. They can get started from home. They don't need to do all the travel, and even better, if they don't get it immediately, they can always review our online sessions, which also makes it a little bit easier for the new guys to join our program. Once the referee has joined the program and passed his first tests, we slowly then increase the knowledge and the experience. We do not want to push the guys away. We really want to first get them into the system, let them see the inside of our referee program, and then actually experience it in a positive way. And then we slowly but sure push them into other levels and into higher and a better knowledge. Initially, and this is also why we start with level 1, when you do cross ice, there is not so much rules involved. It goes actually a lot easier. And once the referees feel that they are supported and it goes well, they are easy to step up and go to level 2, 3 and more. But this is once you have referees. Getting referees is always the issue and is never stopping. If you think that you're there, you're wrong, because you never. There's always referees that quit. There's always people that turn to an age like myself where you say maybe this is not the right time to be on the ice anymore. Some people do different jobs. Other people just stop the function in total. So we need to find new referees. And your best candidate loves the game. He likes skating. And he has game sense. Officials are in most cases, if not all cases, ex-players, as these individuals tick actually by default most of the boxes from the start. Convincing clubs that there is no referee 3 is very difficult. Finding the right balance and only approaching those players that are good candidates is essential. Next is to convince the players. Why should they make the step? Show them the inside, the fun, the benefits, but also talk about the level they can reach. Most of those third and fourth line players will be already at their cap. We have multiple examples within our federation where guys that played quite a low level at youth age are actually now our top officials. They have the game sense, they can skate, they really wanted to work out, but the puck and the stick was maybe not their thing. Show them their individual career opportunities and highlight the importance to helping out and giving back to youth hockey. In some cases, it's older guys. And these guys will also, they have lots of experience, lots of opportunities. They can also help you out. So it's not only the younger, but also the recreational players where you can actually knock on the door and try to convince them. Try to keep a good relationship with the club and get them involved, helping to keep the kids into hockey. Because when kids are in the third and the fourth line, and they quit hockey, we lose them in the sport. If clubs understand that it is better to keep them in the sport and we can use them as referees, they are part of your recruitment program. If being a playing is not working out, the official is definitely the alternative. We try to have our clubs as partners in our recruitment journey. Clubs also benefit from local officials as reduced mileage will support their financial investment in games. In Belgium, clubs pay the mileage directly to the referees. And if you have local referees, obviously mileage is a lot less. But definitely show that school versus hobby, especially for the 19 to 23-year-olds, is very much possible. Keep these youngsters in the sport has been a massive improvement in bringing up our next generation of referees and leaders. Doing it the first time right, easier said than done. After putting so much energy and time into the program, retention is essential. Try to keep what you have. You put a lot of time into getting them into promotion and getting your new referees. Make sure you keep those people in your program. This is sometimes even more important than the recruiting efforts alone. Because if people run away after the first year, you have to do recruitment year after year. If you can retain the people, you'll see that your recruitment efforts actually can go down. Avoid riskful assignment. What I mean with that is do not assign for success. Make sure that people that you assign to a game are having fun, that they really enjoy it. Don't assign a game, but assign for success. I know it's not always easy as a referee-in-chief. You need to make sure all games have referees, but it's very important that you assign for success, because if you make it joyful for the referees to do games, you will see that they will stay and they will actually want to do even more games. Have good support for the on-ice officials. Avoid difficult situations when possible. Use the CRMs there where you can use them, so that the youngsters will not be feeling afraid or feeling threatened by spectators. When possible, try to also schedule youngsters with good mentors or with experienced colleagues, and invest into local club referee managers. This is for me the most important one. Make it mandatory when possible. In our program, this made probably the biggest change. It definitely turned our wagon into the right direction and enabled us to move in the right direction forwards. Finally, talk to your colleagues and keep focus on your project. There is a lot to do. There is a lot that is going on, but try to stay focused on your project. Set reachable milestones and try to maintain the momentum. Believe in your goals. Even in the most difficult circumstances, I am sure you can make it work. As a friend and colleague told me many times, no excuses, Just make it happen. Thank you all for listening and looking forward to hear your experience and successes.
Thank you for the presentation, Mark, and I believe that you are with us through the Zoom call as well.
That is correct, yes. My camera is still not happy with me. I think I have the wrong hairdo today, but my voice is there, so any questions I can definitely help out.
No problem at all. I think you have a great picture on your Zoom, so I think that will work as well. So firstly, congratulations on a great job that you guys did in the last 10 years. So seeing that 10 years ago you had 13 officials and today you are having 130 officials, that's a tremendous step forward. And you said that one of the main things in the beginning for you was that CRMs, who were the buffers between the parents and the officials. So can you please explain a little bit more what were those CRMs doing, and in what way were they buffers between the parents and the referees?
Well, for us, CRMs were important initially because you kind of work over an entire country. You cannot be at every place at the same time, and you want to spread the same message pretty much at all the different clubs. So CRMs for us were our central point of contact, and we wanted to make sure that they were also there, the main help, let's say, for our local referees. So we made it mandatory from out of a referee point of view that every club has to have an official CRM, which is a person that is there for youth referees. He is the person that will make sure there is new guys coming. So he is part of the recruitment. He is also part of the development. He is not the person that will actually teach the courses, but he will plan them. He will make sure that there is refresh courses, there is all kinds of stuff done for them. And most importantly, he is at 70-80% of the youth games, especially with the new young referees. And as he is from the club, he knows obviously half of the spectators in the stands. He has pretty much a good relationship with, and he will make sure that when there is an issue with parents, when there is an issue with coaches, that he can be the buffer between those parties and the young official, because it's not easy to get the referees. But then, especially during the first 5-10 games, it is really critical and crucial that the referee feels safe, that he feels that he's backed up, that he has a good colleague, but on the other hand, that if anything comes into his direction, that he has a shoulder that can support him and that is able to actually make it easier for him. And we saw by doing that was for me, I think, the most important part that we did. Because as of day number one, the referees that we had, we kind of kept. You always have one or two that find out that it's not what they really want to do. But I did not had any issues anymore with people quitting because they just had enough from coaches or from parents or whatever. And I think that was for us a very, very important one.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point, especially for all the federations, basically, that there could be some kind of a cooperation with the club as well to help the referees. And and thinking about our last Skills4All webinar, where we talked about the recruitment of the players, there is not too much difference between recruiting a player and recruiting a referee. Only difference is that recruiting referee happens inside the ring mainly from the players that you already have, and recruiting players happens outside of the ring. But you were saying as well that those referees, you want to show them their development path and their future, as well as you want to provide them coaching. So that sounds really interesting for us as well. Concerning that, so how would you said that they had some kind of coaching every day, or on most of the games. How did that happen when you were smaller federation, or not smaller federation, but when you had less officials than what you had now?
Well, initially, of course, the program, like I describe, is of course the program a little bit like it is today. It is not making or creating a new program doesn't go in one day. It takes time. And initially, yes, we did not. Like I said, we only started with 13. I wanted to start it with a base, and I wanted to start it from the base up. So new referees, we had new people in. We wanted to make sure that these new people were well supported. So we had either instructors or myself that went with them on the ice for the first couple of weeks. And we did the one by one. There is no, you can make big courses. And that was one of the things that we initially also tried to do is we made these info sessions, and we got big numbers. And then you see big numbers at the end of the year turn into no referees. So by actually going one by one, step by step, one referee, then it was two, then it was three, then it was five, and slowly but sure you build it up. You don't let referees go down. You are there with them. We use, like I said, we also now use the walkie-talkie systems where we actually are able to talk to them even during the game, or at least give them tips on positioning and so on. So they feel that they're not alone out there. And it's just important to be there and to make that coaching as a colleague, but also as a CRM, like I say, to just be there and to actually just let them feel that they're not alone. And I think that is a key element.
Yeah, and we had a question here asking that what do you mean by people, the referees need to enjoy the game? How do you divide them in order to enjoy it?
Well, enjoying the game is actually the most important, especially in a small country like we are. We do not have professional referees. For us, the referees are really they're doing a hobby, and when they do a game, they want to enjoy it. And we all know as referees, not every game is as enjoyable as the first one, as the second one, but it is something that it is important. After you play a game with your team, you wanna go out, you wanna have fun, it's the same thing with referees. So you got to make sure that don't assign games to assign games. Don't assign games to just fill your roster and say, like, I got 10 games, I got them all covered now. Just try to assign games in order that people that that people will have fun. You give them, with people that this game will actually end well. It's not going to be a problem. People will feel good, and they will give you more availability, because that's at the end of the day, that is what's going to happen. It is not having 130 referees does not mean you have a lot of availability. The availability comes when it is really cool and it is fun, and it is with 50 referees, sometimes you have more availability than with 130. If you have 130 that don't like it, you'll see they'll probably do one game a weekend, and that's about it. Where if you have 50 that really like it, they might say, okay, you know what, I don't care. You just give me games, and I will do them because it's really fun. And so the fun part there is a very, very important part, is a very important part in your retention and also in the learning curve. Because if it's fun, people like to learn, people will do whatever needed to move to their next level.
Yeah, and as you presented for such a small country, it's unbelievable how many of officiating or how many coaches you have, as well as how many referees you have. And there is another question coming, that when you were starting this program, what were your first milestones? So what were on the beginning, what were the reachable milestones, I guess, what you had?
Well, initially it is of course very difficult. You are very number driven, and one of the first mistakes actually that we did was like I said, info sessions, and everyone was able to come, and everyone was able to come to our courses, and you started with large numbers, and you see that you cannot manage these large numbers. You're not ready for that. So for us, our most important milestones initially were start slow, start small. Make sure that, like I said, 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 3, 3 becomes 5, and so on. It kind of builds up, and just making sure that you can keep the first one, and then you keep the second one, and then you keep the third one, and slowly but sure you see that you're actually building, and that is more important than trying to give exciting courses and trying to get all these nice posters up and stuff like that. I mean, just take it easy, but get it done. You have a goal in front of you, split it up in smaller pieces, and just make things happen. It is possible, even with only one or two or three people around you. It is possible. Cut it up to small pieces, make it chewable, make it eatable, and eat the elephant one bite at a time.
Yeah, I think that's a great message for all the smaller M&As that are struggling with officials. And there is actually, when we talk with the M&As, most of them are struggling with the numbers of the officials, doesn't matter the size. So I think your message is really clear, that have it one at a time, and that's the key to success. And the last question from me is that you were talking about the exchange program. You all will after you talk a little bit about it from IIHF point of view, but can you please explain, you said that you have exchange program with the neighboring countries as well as German and Denmark, if I remember right. So could you please a little bit more talk about it for our listeners to explain what it is?
Well, it is important that it is like holding the carrot in front of the donkey to make sure that he keeps going. It is very important that at every level you are able to have incentives for referees and young officials. So it's not even doing this for your top officials is quite normal. It seems that's not really a problem. But the smaller countries, the smaller level, the lower levels, they're actually as important, because you want to keep them. Once again, it has a lot to do with retention. So what we did is you have to understand that referee in chiefs around you, the programs around you, they suffer the same problem. They also want opportunities for their young officials and their new officials to actually sometimes get an exchange. And what we did in the past is we had a program with our French colleagues where in one weekend we would send two linesmen to France, and they would send either a referee or two linesmen to Belgium. And we exchange that way. It is just nice to work with people from another country. It actually improves the people's skills, and it makes it way more interesting. We do that on the lower levels with international tournaments, where we have the referees working on either in Belgium or outside of Belgium, an international tournament, youth tournament. But that's the same thing. They meet other people. You give them something what is a little different from just working locally in their own club or within their own region. So that is actually what, again, I use also a lot of the IIHF network when there is referee in chief meetings, webinars like these ones where you meet other people. It is just get the word out. People are always looking for opportunities and for options, and just use them and talk to people. I mean, it is the no you have always, the yes is the only thing that you can get. So you talk to people. This is exactly how I got my first work together with Denmark. Pretty much the Danish Federation at the time of the referee in chief at the time said we are kind of looking for some linesmen, and me as a small country, I said, you know what, I might have one. And this is the way it actually starts. And in the meantime, we did it with so many other countries around us. It just shows that it is possible. But if you think it is not, then it's not going to happen. So you really have to take it and just go with it, and you will see it is possible.
Yeah, and I think this is the great story as well, to show that how smaller countries helping bigger country when they are missing the officials that you are having. And talking about this exchange, our next presenter will be Hansson, who is IIHF Officiating Development Manager, and he is running different activities regarding the officiating. And today he will talk to us and he will explain what the IIHF is doing during this season and what are the 4 different focus areas that IIHF is focused on and that is supporting during this season. Thank you again, Mark. for presenting, and we will come back to the questions and answers on the end of the presentations. And now please watch and enjoy the video that Joel will present to us regarding the IIHF activities connected with the officiating.
I hope you're enjoying this episode of IIHF Skills for All. I'm really happy to be here today to talk a little bit more about the IIHF officiating program and really what's going on at the moment. So when we touch base on IIHF Skills for All, we go into many different topics, and I think within ice hockey, regardless what kind of position, work, or role you have, officiating plays some sort of role around that as well. Officiating is one central part of the IIHF and our activities, but it is for sure not the central part in that. Officiating is not everything that we do, but it plays an important role in many ways. So I thought I'd give a little bit of a walkthrough on the current activities, current focus areas, and hopefully you can see a little bit on these things being implemented, maybe in your organization, around your federation, around your leagues, that is played around the world as well. So, of course, officiating, just as player education, coaches education, development, could be targeted in many different ways. And the IIHF, as the world governing body of ice hockey, has a lot of different members. As we have 83 active members, obviously we have 83 very individual types of organization and very different sorts of ecosystems within hockey in general, but also within officiating in particular. So what we try to do here is collect a couple of the key areas, the focus areas that we have identified, both through the office staff together with our committees and the support committees that is existing within the IIHF, but also based a lot on the one-on-one meetings that the IIHF staff has yearly with our members, and in this case, the person in charge of officiating, which is mainly the reference chief within our organizations. So this season, we have really identified that women's development, especially top female elite hockey development within officiating, has been a key area. We talk a lot about recruitment and retention, come into a little bit more in detail what kind of activities we see that we can help with from an IIHF standpoint. Decision making is also one key aspect that we are targeting to be able to give a little bit of better insights, learning, teaching materials for both elite game officials and also for future elite game officials. And I would say that one of the key aspects really that we target is the organizational development. We know that it doesn't really matter how much we work with the individual game official in a tournament or a world championship if they don't come home to an organization and an ecosystem within their hockey family that is really supportive and helping them to achieve their goals and what they want to do within officiating. Again, looks very different, 83 members, and this is obviously then reflecting a little bit in our different activities and the approaches. So what do we have in mind when we took these 4 key initiatives to talk about and in general being a part of our activities? Well, maybe repeating myself a little bit, but being so many different M&As, we have one of the biggest challenge to see, okay, what should we really focus on? Obviously, we have our ICE 26, our strategic work, and this is really a guiding light in our everyday life, but it's also an opportunity in these one-on-ones with the M&As to find activities where we believe we can get out the most for as many as possible. So we could for sure target very small activities for smaller M&As, but it wouldn't maybe be beneficial for medium-sized or large M&As. So we try to mix a little bit in the activity, so we target as many as possible, but also in this case that we don't target only a certain target group and they get something from that. When we do something, we really want them to gain as much as possible from our activities. And I think in the end, what we do on one season plan is just a small part in a longer perspective. Officiating, like any sort of educational development program, is not a sprint. This is something that happens over a longer period of time. And officiating and developing an officiating program, developing officials or officiating in your country in general is a marathon. It's not something that happens from one season to another, but many small activities, initiatives, and structures each season can create a consistent activity within each M&A. So I would like to highlight a couple of the key initiatives and really be hands-on on the activities we are doing within these focus areas. And I land first on the women's development. The IIHF started to analyze, as always, the major events, and after the Olympics in Beijing, we analyzed both the male tournament and the female tournament, and we came to the conclusion that we needed to be a little bit more active, a little bit more aggressive and offensive when it came to initiative around female officials and women officiating in general, but our top female game officials in particular. So what we do now is creating a development program that circles around our major event and is currently named Road to Milano 2026. This is where we gather the top female game officials from around the world. We create environments both like this in an online situation where we know that we cannot gather everyone in, maybe not even once a year, but not even in our wildest dream every month or every week in that case. So we try to find activities online based where we can get the same information, the same instructions, the best teachers and speakers on very important topics for our female game officials. We also work very actively with top leagues, both in Europe and North America, to try to create exchange programs where game officials that maybe in a daily basis are not that exposed for top female hockey still can have an opportunity to have that exposure and have that on a more repetitive basis than only during the World Championships. We have a tremendous pool of female game officials currently, but the exposure to top female hockey could sometimes be a little bit limited, and then coming to a top event can put them a little bit behind towards the players and the league development around the world. By just building this program and having a structure, working with dedicated officiating coaches that are following them not only throughout their World Championship part, but also interacting in this exchange program, is something we believe is a key for a supportive and transparent environment. We believe that if game officials feel safe, they feel that they are really supported, they feel that they can work with their ambitions, their dreams together with us, and not being afraid in a selection process or feeling that they are close to be kicked out or they don't know what's really expected or what to come, then we think that it's a lot better to be really transparent, work with an open program, create an environment where they understand what it takes to really come up to elite level and be a part of the selection group for our Olympic cycle. So when we leave the women's development program, I go directly to recruitment. So recruitment is obviously something that is always important, regardless what roles we're talking about in ice hockey. It could be off-ice people, it could be coaches, it could be volunteers in general, team managers, equipment managers, but obviously officiating is one of these key factors. Throughout the last 2 seasons, the IIHF has monitored the development with how many game officials are educated, how many game officials are we losing each season. And this has shown that we unfortunately see a little bit of a negative trend. We see that we are lacking game officials in many parts of the world. And especially we see that we are losing people that are starting, that they fall out pretty quickly. So what we would try to do was to create a toolbox, a support function where the IIHF could create major campaigns such as this one called Officially Cool, where we could do a lot of material, we could do a lot of preparation, inspiration, where the M&As, regardless of the size, could activate themselves and where they really could find resources to work actively with the recruitment of new game officials. Why we choose Officially Cool was truly to give a little bit of a more meat on the bone. Why should people start with officiating? And I think that everyone is able to share their unique story in our campaign on why officiating is something that should be a part of their hockey interest. So this is where we provide to our M&As recruitment webinars. We share the best practices from around the world on the topic. We're also very heavily involved, and an important factor is to work with our official supplier with Warrior Hockey, where they give us an equipment support where we can distribute that to M&As that are really in need to grow their officiating program. And this season, you will see around the world game officials wearing the same hats as the guys on the picture, where we will create a platform for our game officials to be ambassadors and create kind of a platform for them to share their stories, find a way to spread their word about why people in the near vicinity of them should try officiating and be a part of this movement. So one project that is very close to my heart and is something that I believe is going to have a great impact for future officiating is the work we do together with Mr. Lee Waters around decision making. Last season in Basel for the under 18 World Men's, we had a pilot project where we could see game officials like Daniel Eriksson here in this picture wearing glasses that monitored his tracking behaviors and scanning behaviors out on the ice. We are very, very keen on making right decisions on all games, and we are really keen to understand how is it that some game officials try to really see all these things, that they are catching the small hookings, the small slashing, that they are able to position and see things from a good angle. We believe that the decision making comes a lot, obviously, from the ice and how you see the game. And together with Lee, we're able to track and monitor some scanning behaviors and gaze behaviors, hopefully giving us a little bit more insights on the behaviors and the actions that our really good game officials are doing, and see if these behaviors could be trained and also implemented then on other levels and other game officials so they could be equally as good or even better in their decision making. We will try this and collect data under the under 18 and under 20 World Championship, and we're really excited to see what this has to bring us for the future. The last part, and I think that maybe this is one of the larger aspects where we meet really hands-on and face-to-face with our 83 members, is through the organizational development aspects. We work with creating networks from game officials, organizations, and reference chiefs from around the world through our reference chief global network. Here we connect M&As that could be very spread out geographically, but have a lot in common when it comes to how they are structured, how they are financed, how big they are, what kind of hockey they have, etc. So we try to create these groups of networks that comes together globally where they can learn from each other and find the best practice. We were happy and fortunate to have one meeting in Riga on site, where we also had participants online, and we will continue to do online follow-ups here throughout the season. The topics are not just chosen randomly. This is where we collect a lot of information, input from our M&As when we do our one-on-one interviews with the reference chiefs. Some reference chiefs, and I would say quite a majority, almost a fourth of all the M&As now post-COVID, are new in the role. With this situation, we felt it was really important that we share also here best knowledge and best practice to the game officials, with the reference chiefs that are very new in the role. We know that being a reference chief in general is very lonely. Being new in an organization have maybe no support or very little support because the knowledge and the transfer of knowledge is very low or non-existent, could be a very harsh reality for a lot of people that want to be involved in the role of a reference chief. That's why we collect a lot of best practice from around the world, from large M&As to small M&As, where they give their input and their stories on different organizational aspects and administrational aspects. So these workshops, we hope to connect and network with others in similar positions, but also to give the possibility to share a little bit of the things and the journeys that some other reference chiefs has been on and what made their journey successful. So this is a little bit what's going on currently within the IIHF in our officiating program. As I said, I hope that this is something maybe you can see in one way or another back home in your M&A, in your league, in your club, or in whatever form you are currently active in ice hockey. Again, a big thank you. I hope you're enjoying this episode of IIHF Skills.
Thank you, Joel, for the presentation about the steps that IIHF is taking to help develop the officiating and the referees. And as you all said, the most important things are the recruitment and the organizational development, because as we've seen and as we talked, there is a lack of referees in quite many places, and without referees we cannot have games, and the games are the most fun part about hockey, and that's why we train, and that's why we are doing all of this to in the end of the day play games. So for all of us in the IIHF and for all the federations and all the clubs as well, the most important thing and the crucial thing needs to be to have enough referees to play the games. So with all of this that we have, I would conclude today's topic about the game officials. And what I would like to share with all of you is that our next topic for the next webinar. So next webinar will be last Wednesday of the February, which is 28th of February. And on that topic will be high performance programming and planning. So we'll focus with the great example of the M&A and the projects that IIHF is having, connecting the high performance, connecting it with education, and how do we program the high performance to have even better results. So moving forward, our next topic will be that, and we will have a good example from the federations. And coming back, what we already had during this season and seasons before, is that all our recordings and all our presentations are, you can see them and you can download them on our web page. So everything what was happening in the past, since we started during COVID times until today's presentation, you can see there is a web page link or there is a QR code that you can scan, and you can see all of them on our web page. So they're all recorded, and that you can check them out later on as well. And coming to end for today's webinar that we recorded, I want to thank everybody on the YouTube channel that is watching us. And for the next time, if you want to get direct email from me about the next webinar, you can send me an email and I'll put you to the email list. And thank you everybody from YouTube. You can still join us through the Zoom, and we will now have a discussion that will not be recorded, that will not be filmed. So thanks everybody for watching, and now we are turning off our recording as well as our YouTube.